Hi guys, Fliteska here. Today we are going to look into Papyrus scripting and we're going to add a custom menu to the workshop mode and also a chem that will remove the menu when we are done with our mod. We are back in the CK today and I have added quite a few extra items into our mod. There is some posters and some boats, and we've got our table that we made previously, and there's also the other bits that we added as well for furniture. And what we're going to do is going to make a menu for them, and it's going to just sit at the end of the workshop menu. So how we do that is by using form lists, and what we want to do is right click new inside form lists, and this is just kind of where everything's gonna sit. So we'll call this FCM workshop main menu, and I don't believe we need a name, so we just click OK. And we want to add a couple of keywords as well, and this is what gives them the actual display names and things like that. So we're going to have FCM workshop main menu. I'm just going to prefix that with keyword, and this will be a recipe filter. So really, for sake of ease, I should probably actually call this recipe filter main menu, and this is going to be the base item in the menu. So I'm just going to name that Fliteska, and we're going to add some extra ones for the sub menus, and we just call recipe filter advert menu, and these will all be recipe filters. The ID doesn't really matter, it just kind of makes it a bit clearer when you're looking through your records to see what they actually do. We'll add another one, recipe filter. Can't actually spell apparently. Tables, menu, and recipe filter again. Tables, and FCM recipe filter chairs menu. So again, just type as recipe filter. I call that chairs. I'll rename that to chairs because that will annoy me. And we want the final one is boats. Boats menu. Right. And we'll call that Fliteska's boats, because this one is going to be its own separate menu outside of the main menu that I've got. One thing that I do want to do is go back into form lists, and going to create another form list which will be FCM furniture menu. Click OK. Back into keywords, add new FCM recipe filter furniture menu. Give it a recipe filter, and we'll call that furniture as well. And this is just so rather than having like the chairs and tables just straight away, we can put it into a separate menu within the main menu. So if I come into, I'm going to open both these menus up, and what we want to do is go into keywords again, and the first item in workshop main menu, we want it to be this main menu recipe filter, and that means the name that we put in here for the display name, that's what will be displayed in the as the main item. And we want to add the tables. I've added the tables in to the furniture menu in the wrong order, so I'll just drop in the recipe filter for furniture and press this double back arrow just to switch those around, so that'll have furniture written in there. And then we've got chairs as well that we'll drag in there. We can close the furniture menu, and if I go into form lists and take this furniture menu, drag that in, the first item that we'll see in our build menu will be this, we'll go Fliteska, and then there'll be a section called furniture, and then we add the posters one as well. Okay, so we'll have Fliteska, furniture, table chairs, Fliteska, adverts or posters, can't remember what I named it, and we click OK. One thing that we will want to do is make sure that we have some icon that we want to display in the menu. So if we come to miscellaneous and art object, right click, new, give it an ID, and we'll call this workshop main menu icon. I don't know what effect this has, but I generally just leave it as magic casting. We choose a model, and we'll just pick any, really. We'll have a baby's rattle for some reason, and that can be the main menu. So take the recipe filter main menu, drag it into here, and press OK. And we will do one for the furniture. Well, no, we'll do it for the boats. So boats menu icon. Now, you can do this for like all of the keywords that you are using in your mod, but you don't have to. It just means that there'll not be an icon in the categories. So I'm going to use this anchor for the boats, and we'll choose boats, drag that in, press OK, and right, what we want to do next is come into constructible objects. I'm not going to show all of this. I'm going to right click on this advert poster 1, click edit, and once that loads up, we come to recipe filters, right click, add, type in our prefix FCM, and choose recipe filter adverts menu, and just click OK. And we would do that for each one of these. So if I do the board table, I would choose the table menu, so this one, and we just repeat that for all of these. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be back here with it all set up. and we'll move on to the next step. Now that I've done all of the setup for the constructible objects, we want to do a little bit of scripting. I originally found a script that added the menus. It was a modern resource on Nexus, and I've tweaked it just to make my life a little bit easier, and I will include a link to these scripts, and also if I can find the original modern resource, I'll add a link to that in the description as well. So what we have here is a Papyrus script, which is a quest. A lot of the functionality in game is actually controlled by scripts that they kind of used as controllers, so we can utilize this to add our menus that we need. So in this file I've got them all just I've got a prefix written here, so I'm going to change that to FCM, and I'm going to replace each mention of prefix with FCM. So form list, FCM, workshop menu, that's going to be our Fliteska category, and FCM workshop keyword, that's going to be for our boats menu. Like, these names don't really matter outside of here. If you name these the same as your form list in the CK, you can auto-populate them. Makes it a bit easier. So that's what I've got up here. Workshop menu main, that is the main build menu, and these are what I'm adding in. Alright, and what this does is when the quest starts, like, you won't see anything in game about a quest showing up. It's going to run the install function, which is this function here, and it's going to register for a remote event when the player loads the game. So if for any reason something goes wrong, whenever you load the game, it will run this on player load game install, and this install can run multiple times. It won't break anything. It won't add multiple of the same menu because it can only be added once. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our workshop menu form list to the main build menu, and we're going to add our boats keyword to the main menu, and we also have a uninstall function, which is a different, it's used in a different script, and basically we're going to create a chem to actually delete, well, to remove the menus. So I'm going to save that as something else, just FCM menu install a script .psc, and we're gonna come into this other file, which is the uninstall script, put our prefix in, and this is an active magic effect, which is basically if you use a chem, what happens, and we're gonna point it to our installer script. So FCM menu installer script property, and it's the categories effect. And basically this takes the quest, I believe, as a property, and it just lets you, like when you use the chem, so on effect start, it will run the uninstall script from this menu installer. So I'm going to save that as fcm uninstaller script.psc, and back into the CK. We want to, like, these scripts won't be available, so we have to come in to gameplay, compile Papyrus scripts, and this does take a couple of minutes to load, and just don't touch anything because the usual CK will die, so we'll just hang about for a minute. I believe this takes longer based on the amount of scripts that it finds, but just don't do anything, just stay very still and it'll eventually come on. Once the CK is done loading, you'll see this screen, and you want to just scroll down to find your scripts that you added, menu installer, menu uninstaller, and click compile, and this will run through. If it disappears, everything worked. If you've done something wrong, it'll stay there and tell you what went wrong. Right, just save that. Now that's all done, we want to then come into quest, right click, new, and we'll just call this fcm underscore workshop menu quest, and we want it start game enabled, run once, because we don't want that to kind of move, and we're done in here because this script isn't quite right yet, so we just press OK and then open it back up, and we want to add 2 stages, which I believe is 10 and 20. Don't have to do anything in there, and if we come across to scripts, click add, and we just type in fcm, and we can see our installer script. Click on that, click OK, and that will bring up our script. And as I mentioned, these names don't really matter, but if they do have, like, if they do use the same names as existing things, it will be able, you'll be able to click autofill. So if I click this, one property autofilled, and that's just because I've used workshop menu main, but these two haven't. So what we're going to do is for workshop menu, we're going to click edit value and just type in fcm and workshop main menu, and for the keyword I'm going to click edit value again, fcm recipe filter oats menu, press OK, press OK again, and that is it. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to jump into the game, and we should find all of our items at the end of the menu. So just before we jump into game, there was one step that I did miss. We want to create a magic effect, which I've created here, FCM menu uninstaller effect. Double click on it, and what we want is, once it loads, is we want to give it a name. The effect type is, I don't really believe it matters, but it's value modifier. Casting type is fire and forget. Delivery is self. Magic skill is nothing. And I believe you can just leave this as it is. The flags I don't really think matter, but just it's painless. Doesn't have any area of effect. Doesn't take any amount of time. And we give it a description, and we come down to the scripts section, click on add, and choose our menu uninstaller script, and it'll bring up the properties window. And when you click on edit value, you will find your quest in here. Just press OK, press OK. Then you want to come into potion and right click new and give it a name, FCM menu uninstaller, and in the results just right click new, find your effect in the menu, so FCM menu uninstaller effect, just press OK. If you don't have a name set on the effect, it won't work, so just make sure you've got that set. Once that's done, press OK, and we need to be able to craft this, so we come into constructible object, right click new, and then what we want to do is we want to put it into the right place, which is a chemistry station. I don't actually think the one that I've chose is the right one, so just keep that open for a second, and I'm just going to put in jet, just to be doubly sure of the workbench keyword. Workbench chem lab is what I want. Workbench chem lab. Choose the menu uninstaller as the created object. The recipe filter doesn't really matter where you put this. Like I've just dropped it into the utility section of the chem station, so I will find it in there. And the last step is just to save your mod again and load it up in game. So I'll be back in one moment. We're in game now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, I'll show you that our special menu is now relatively clean, but if I scroll all the way across my many menus, we come to the end. We've got Fliteska. I did change from the baby rattle to a big boat. I didn't account for how big the boat would be in my menu, so you can see it spinning around. And Fliteska's boats are on the end there. So if I go into the boats, we've got a couple of boats. If I go into Fliteska, I've got furniture and I've got adverts. So I go into furniture, I've got tables. So there's board table and Fliteska's personal table from the previous videos. If I go into furniture chairs, we have a board table that is a chair, and our Vault-Tec crate chair. And if I go into adverts, we've got the different posters as well. And last step is to get rid of the menu. I've got a crafting station, and if I come down to utility and keep on scrolling, I find FCM menu and uninstaller removes Fliteska's cool mod menus, and I will make that, and I can see FCM menu uninstaller has been added. And if I go into the Pip-Boy into I've put it into aid, but if I use that, nothing happens because I didn't put any kind of notification in there. But if I go right across, my menus have been removed. And that's it for this video, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, bye.